Welcome to Beauty Mastermind TV, a bi-monthly TV series for hairdressers.
Our guest artist will share with you their knowledge of the best cutting, colour and styling techniques. Plus, give you the tips and tools you need to take your career to the next level. Learn why the top stylists are using the best quality tools from Japan, France and Spain, Mizutani, YS Park, Ibiza Hair, Sunlight's Balayage, Ecru New York and more. Yes! Gain the confidence to become successful with the guys that hardly ever speak in front of large audiences. But when they do, wow!
Your host, Edwin Lombardi and Patrick Marchison.
Welcome everyone to beautymastermind.com and my co-host, Patrick Marchison.
How are you, Edwin?
Pretty good. So today we're going to feature one of your haircuts. And
Great.
This is another great haircut because it's so commercial. You can use the techniques from this on a lot of haircuts. And on top of that, it's just a classic haircut that's been modified and modernized for today. And it's called a seamless A-line. You can find that in our haircutting seminars in our website. So let's just go ahead and watch the video and then we'll comment on the video afterwards.
Let's watch it.
Hi, my name is Patrick Marchison and I'm a guest artist for beautymastermind.com.
Hi everybody, this is my friend Patrick and we work together at the salon and he's an amazing hairstylist. You're going to see a lot of nice work today. I work for Patrick, he's the owner, and I really like what he does and I wanted him to showcase some of his work. So today he's going to cut his model's Amanda's hair. And what are you planning to do?
Well, today I'm going to do a really nice, sharp, asymmetrical bob. I'm going to stack it really high in the back, layer it, and have it like really dive really in a sharp manner in the front and connect with the sides.
Now I know you're going to do a dry cut today. Why do you choose to do a dry cut?
When I work on sharp edges like this, I like to just have the hair already prepped and ready to go. Because I noticed back in the days when I used to cut it on wet hair, then you have to dry it and then flat iron it, and you realize that with the cowlicks and the way the hair shifts when it's dry, you have to go back and kind of like recut and do a bunch of touch-ups. So by cutting on dry hair, I skipped this part. Okay,
now also you're going to be using the Mizutani scissors and the thinning scissors, which are the Yuragi number 4. Now there's the 2, 4, 6, and 8. 2 and 4 remove a finer amount of hair. 6 and 8 remove chunkier amounts of hair. Why did you choose number 4?
The reason why I like the number 4 is because it really gives me the effect that I like personally. I think every hairstylist works differently. For me, the number 4 removes just the perfect amount of hair. I like to be in control of what I do, and I don't want to remove too much hair because I already skimmed their hair in their previous haircuts. So I think if I would use the 6 or the 8, it would remove too much hair.
Okay. Also, what I'd like to mention is this bob, when it's all finished, is a seamless bob. That means that there's going to be layers in the haircut, but you don't really see all the choppiness of the layers. It all blends seamlessly, and that's also why number 2 and 4 is working really great on your model's hair. And also because she has blonde highlights, and then underneath it's darker, so it's going to be a softer blend from blonde to dark.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to let you do your thing, and after the video, I'm going to come back and ask you about 10 questions regarding your cut.
Okay.
All right, so
Perfect.
Go ahead and take over.
All right. So we previously treated the hair before we started. We used the shampoo and conditioner by Ecru New York. I actually used the Luxe Treatment Shampoo and a Protective Silk Conditioner. Amanda has a lot of highlights in her hair, and I really like the way those products make the hair feel. They're very nourishing, but at the same time, they don't weigh the hair down, so that's the reason why I use those products. I also rough dry your hair. I'm going to start my haircut section by section. I will flat iron my sections as I'm dropping them, and I will be cutting all those sections, as I go. So I will explain what I'm doing I will start with the back. We rough dried the hair, but I left it like this on purpose before I flat ironed because I want to show you Amanda has beautiful hair, but at the same time she does have a lot of calyx, which is a common thing amongst a lot of clients. And for this kind of haircut, I just want to talk about how crucial it is to section the hair very well and also to prep it. I think the haircut is as good as the way you prep it. So if you want to have a really nice clean line, very sharp edge, you need to make sure that all those calyx are gone. You don't want to have any kink in the hair. You want to have perfectly polished hair as you go. So I'm going to start by flat ironing this section. I'm going to cut it and then drop the other section and do the same thing over and over again. Tilt at the front, perfect. All right. This is pretty much the focus of the haircut. The nape is very, very important. We'll start, this is the part of the hair that has the most hair. Obviously, it's the thickest density. So I'm going to start by creating my first guide. This guide that I'm cutting will pretty much dictate the entire haircut. So it's very, very important. I mean, every section is important, but this one is crucial. I roughly cut the hair, and then I go back and I push the hair down on the nape and clean up all those edges. Now I'm going to use the texturizing scissors and just remove a little bit of weight. Look down a little bit. I'm using this gliding technique. I'm also using a 45-degree angle towards the middle, so I'm creating a V shape to make sure that I keep the length on the sides. So I'm using the scissors, and that's a very important point. I'm using the scissors this way where the solid blade is at the bottom because I'm gliding the hair. If the scissor is on the other side, when I'm going to go to glide, the hair is going to catch in the teeth and it will be very, very painful for your model. So make sure that you use the full blade when you glide. When I use this technique, it's called cutting in movement, which means that as I'm cutting, my hands are always moving. This is to avoid any kind of mark in the hair, because if you stop and you close the scissors, you're gonna see the lines in the hair, and you don't want to see that. That's the thing that would pretty much ruin your haircut. You want it to be seamless. I also like to use both my hands. It just, my left hand is giving me support and also precision. I start obviously at the higher point, but I start biting into the hair only at the bottom. I don't start at the scalp, because you don't want to have the little hair starting at the scalp. You want it to be more seamless. I want to keep the fullness at the roots and then have it like get thinner and thinner as I'm going down. So I'm starting here to glide, and I bite only at the bottom. Again, I'm using a V-shape technique when I use my texturizing shears. The reason why I'm doing that is, we have to remember we're doing a concave look, so we're trying to have the shorter point only in the middle and then keep the length on the side, because I want to have that really diving effect. So I'm going to drop another section. I like to be in control of the hair. I never let the hair control me. So I take my section as thin as possible. The thinner, the more control you have. Amanda has a nice density of hair, but her hair is not coarse. So I'm using my flat iron at about 300 degrees. Don't want it to be hotter than that. It's not needed. Same thing, I'm going to use the texturizing shears. Look down. Thank you. Again, the prepping of your section is crucial. Want to make sure that there's absolutely no kink. And that the hair is very nice and smooth, starting from the roots all the way down to the shaft of the hair and up to the ends. See, now the hair is really nice and straight. All the kinks are gone. The cowlicks are invisible now. Always using my comb. And as I'm dropping the sections, I'm always making sure that I'm following the same angle and that the hair is perfectly nice and straight. You want to use a 0-degree elevation. It's very important. You don't want the hair to lift. As soon as you lift the hair, you start graduating. And at the bottom, that's not what you want to do. You want it to be really nice and sharp. So to all the hairstylists that are using the flat iron, sometimes the problem is it makes the hair really, really staticky and the hair starts lifting and kind of floating. It's really hard to control. And I discovered this product, which is really good, again, from Ecru, New York, the Sunlight Holding Spray. It works really good with iron work. So what I like to do is like just a fine mist. One is enough, depending on the density of the hair, but see how even though the hair is flat iron, it's very, very polished, and it looks really good. I don't consider myself a very fast-paced hairstylist. To me, it's not really about the time, it's about the end result, but at the same time, I want to be as time effective as possible. So I'm trying to not work harder, but work smarter by making sure that every section that is done, I don't need to go back again and recutting, because after that, it kind of becomes like a vicious circle, because you kind of like always go back and go back and go back. So once I'm done cutting it, I move on to the next one. So again, I'm going to use the Sunlight spray, and just one spray, it's enough. I'm going to flat iron it. Gets rid of all the static. I don't know if you all noticed, but when I flat iron the hair, I always give, you don't want to flat iron the hair like going out and straight. I flat iron the hair and I give it a little bit with my wrist. I just turn a little bit inside, so that way you have that really nice, when the hair like hugs the head shape, that's what you want to do. So you want to make sure that you use that little curve with your wrist and go back inside. See how this piece here has been flat ironed, but still, there's still a little bit of a wave, a little bit of a kink. So I want to make sure that I go back there and really flat iron it, starting from the roots. And when you flat iron the hair, always make sure to apply a lot of tension. It's the only way that you'll be effective. So I'm combing my section. I'm kind of looking where the hair likes to fall. And I'm always making sure that I see my guide through it, and I'm sure that we can do a close-up and really see the hair, the section that I drop, and you can clearly see the guide through it. If you don't see your guide through it, it's because your section is too thick. So you want to subdivide it and make sure that you always see your guide through it. Also, a point that is very, very important is that every time you drop a section, I know I mentioned it at the beginning of the haircut, but I want to mention it one more time. Every time you drop a section, the section that you drop should always be the thickness of your comb longer than the previous one. The reason is, if you don't do that, if you cut all your sections the same length, it's going to start stacking on top of each other, and you'll have that broom effect. It's going to start looking just like a broom. So you want the hair to really hug the head. If you look at the profile, you see that the hair is going out and it's curving back in, and it's tucking a profile. It's very flattering. It's very sexy when you see the hair like really caressing the side of the face, and same thing with the neck. So if not, if you don't do this, you'll have more of this kind of effect where the hair is just going to start stacking, and you're going to see the bottom edge. You're going to see all the end of the hair. You don't want to see that. You just want it to tuck inside. Our work is very artistic. I always often compare myself to a carver. Some people carve on wood, and the same principle apply. I think I always go by the rule, measure twice and cut once. Same thing with a carpenter, and it's the same thing in hairstyling. So always make sure that you prep the hair, you measure, you comb it, and also don't be afraid to step back. A lot of hairstylists, we have this bad habit of being so close to our work, and sometimes we don't see the big picture. So sometimes it's good to, even in salon, I do it all the time. I drop my section and I step back a few steps and I look at the big picture. And sometimes you can see, oh, I'm a little crooked, or it's not going the way I like it to be. So then you can, it's the kind of thing that you cannot see if you're too close from your model. When you use the ecru spray, you want to make sure that as you're pressing, you're moving, so that way you don't have like a big stain on the hair. So again, you just go like this, and I like to have this kind of angle. I like it to spray up and then down. A lot of hairstylists use it like this, but the problem when you do this is that you have more hairspray on the surface than you have at the bottom. So by going like this, you really cover the entire section. We can clearly see the beginning of the foundation of the cut, where the hair is really nice and smooth. You don't see any hair underneath, and it really tucks nice. And you can tell already that it's going to be a concave look because it's much higher in the middle and it dives evenly on both sides. Again, I want to make a close-up on the roots area. You can tell that even though the hair looks maybe straight, it has a little bit of a wave. You can see the direction of the hair at the roots. It has a little wave pattern. So I'm gonna make sure that I go with my flat iron and remove all this little kink and really make sure that it's really nice and straight. See the difference now that I flat ironed the hair? There was, I showed previously that there was a little wave. It kind of looked from far, the hair kind of looks straight, but if you look from close, now you can see the difference, that the hair is completely nice and smooth and straight. How it goes kind of out here and it starts curving and hugging the head. That's the result of a nice flat ironing technique. The Mizutani scissors are very precise, and you want to make sure that when you use, when you want to achieve this kind of result, you need to have really nice sharp scissors. The Mizutani scissors are really, really good. They give me really a precise control. Now this is my last section for the back. This is going to start, the haircut will start changing a little bit in the sense that now that the back is done, all my focus is done, which means that now it's going to be a question of connecting the sides with it. I have to be very, very sensitive. This part of the head is very crucial because this is the highest point. So this is where the hair starts pivoting and really covering the top. It's the top layer of the hair, obviously. But you have to be very sensitive in the way the hair likes to part. Obviously, the hair has to part somewhere. And I can tell naturally that the hair likes to part here because I combed it. And when you comb it, you can tell how the hair just naturally falls. And again, that's what I said at the beginning of this tutorial. I was talking about how you have to work with the hair and not against the hair. So I'm just going to follow the way the hair parts here on the surface, and I'm just going to flat iron it, make sure there's no kink and it's nice and smooth. And this will conclude the back sectioning and the back cutting of the hair. I will also leave it for the end, because at the end I will, once my base is done, I will start creating some interior layering. So this concludes the last section for the back of the haircut. The base is done. The only thing I did so far was to just create a nice base, asymmetrical. The hair is a little heavy around this section here, so what I will do next, I will connect the sides, and then once the sides are connected and my foundation is completed, I will come back and work on some interior layering. So now we'll connect the back with the sides. So at this point, it's more of a visual guideline. I'm just going to clean up, make sure that all those ends are really nice and sharp. Want to make sure, and that's it's a common mistake that a lot of hairstylists do is to cut this corner. You want to make sure this corner is crucial because this corner really is going to be, the symmetry is going to have that really nice sharp edge. If you cut this corner too short, then you have to redo the entire haircut and raise it in order to catch up with it. So you want to make sure that you always keep this corner. Never make the mistake of rounding this corner here, because that's what gives you that really nice sharp edge. You want to have that really sharp corner here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This Ecru Sunlight Holding Spray works really, really well, especially when I use my flat iron, because it gives you that nice amount, that nice combination of hold, but at the same time it doesn't make the hair feel like cardboard. I really, really like the way it feels. I like to use it on pretty much every sections. Posture is also very important when you work. Always want to make sure that you're cutting, your body is in the direction that you're cutting. Always make sure your back is straight, your shoulders are relaxed. And when you cut, always make sure that you always use, we talked about it previously, but it's very important when you use only one blade that moves, only your thumb is moving, the 4 top fingers don't move. It's very important when you start working with precision haircut. I'm going to drop my second layer. So like I was saying earlier, I want to make sure that I save this corner. So it's very important when you comb the hair, I comb it I over direct it towards the back a little bit, so that way I make sure that I'm not going to cut it. Just going to support the back of the hair with my comb. And I'm going to over direct it towards the back a little bit with a slight angle. It's the best technique, I think, to avoid cutting that corner in the front, because that really what gives you that edge and that really that sharpness, because you really want to have that sharpness that goes, that really dives in the front here, but at the same time it connects in the front and gives you that really nice point. That's what gives you that really edgy look. So I'm done with the foundation of the haircut, which means all the perimeters. So as you can tell, it's a very nice sharp edge on both sides, obviously following the same guidelines of connecting the back with the sides. Now what I'm going to do, I know that Amanda really likes her hair to move. Now it's nice and smooth and straight, but at the same time I want to create some really nice body and movement. So I'm going to use a point cutting technique, and I'm going to just on the surface create a little bit more action. Obviously the reason why I'm doing it on the surface is because I don't want to touch the perimeters. The perimeters are crucial. You don't want to touch it because you want it to be really sharp and blunt. So when you work on your layering on top, you want to be very sensitive not to grab too much hair underneath. And I'm going to just take some sections, lower it down a little bit because I'm working on the section, only on the top. So I'm just going to pinch with 2 fingers following my comb, and I'm going to make sure to elevate the hair completely so that I don't touch the foundation of the haircut, which is this here. And I'm just going to go and just point cut the surface. So if I would go in slow motion, I'm opening my scissors, and as I'm closing my scissors, I'm closing my scissors going up like this. So I'm not biting down, because if you do this, you're probably going to cut your fingers. So you want to make sure that once you start biting, when you start closing those blades, you close them away from your fingers. And be very sensitive not to take off too much. Again, see my guide here. As soon as I see the hair starting to fall down, I know that I'm protecting my foundation. So that's only the hair that I want to cut is only on the surface. Now, a lot of people ask me, why do you use the point cutting technique? Simple, I just don't want to have any lines in the hair. If you close your scissor and you follow your fingers, you're going to have a really straight line. By using the point cutting technique, you have more of a softer edge. It's still the same, it's still as straight, but you have like a seesaw action a little bit, where the hair is it creates a little bit more texture on the surface. I'm following the way the hair is falling. Gives me a really nice jagged edge. So see all the hair that is falling here, that's my foundation. So I'm making sure that I'm cutting only the surface. Always making sure that my fingers are parallel with the floor. If you want to do a close-up here, I'm going to show little detail, but I think it's a very important one. You always want to make sure to have perfect control. I like to overlap my fingers to make sure that I'm really pinching the hair and that there's no hair that is falling through my fingers. So that way it's very, very tight here and the hair doesn't move, and I have perfect tension and perfect control over my section. Now that the layering is done, I'm gonna create a little bit more space with the weight. I need to remove and skim a little bit of more weight. So I'm gonna use the Mizutani number 4 texturizing shears. And again, I wanna make sure that I'm gliding the blade that is the full, not the one with the teeth. And I'm gonna always make sure that I'm cutting towards the middle to over direct and make sure that I'm keeping that asymmetrical shape. I'm being very sensitive. I'm just biting slightly in the hair. I'm not closing completely. So if you would look in slow motion, it would be more like this. Most of the skimming is done in the back. You don't want to do any skimming on the sides because you have way less hair. You know, the hair grows all the way down here, and on the sides the hair stops growing right here, so you have less density, right? Like all this, you have this more density on the sides. In the back, I mean, and in the sides, you don't have as much hair, so you want to be very sensitive. Plus, you don't want to create any opening, too much opening on the side, because then you're going to start losing your edge. At the end of my haircut, I really like to take the blow dryer and make sure that I'm cleaning all the hair that might be stuck because of the texturizing. When you do a lot of interior layering, you there's still a lot of hair still. So you want to make sure that, plus at the same time, it makes the hair move, it wakes up the roots a little bit, gives it some body and some movement. Plus it gives me an opportunity to make sure that I texturize the hair enough and the hair is light and is moving good. This haircut is really fun because it looks good when it's like perfectly polished and really nice and smooth, but at the same time, even if your model goes outside and there's a lot of wind, it's windy outside, and she moves her hair, like it still looks really, really good. And you want to make sure that you double check that before you're done. Make sure that there's the body and the hair moves well. There's no sections coming out where they're not supposed to be. So just make sure that you move the haircut. Now at the end, I really like to use a finishing product by Ecru again. The Acacia oil is a really nice product because a lot of people sometimes when you talk about oil, they're afraid that it's going to make the hair really greasy and heavy. This oil is very, very light. It's very good for color treated hair. It will nourish the hair. It will take care of the little flyaways. But at the same time, it doesn't overwhelm the hair. It doesn't create any unnecessary weight. So how I like to use it, I just like to start with one pump in the middle of my hand. And I'm going to really work it in my hand. And I like to also use it between my fingers because I'm going to use my ends open with my fingers to work with the hair. So I really recommend starting with only one pump. If you need more, then you can, use some more. But just start with one because it's an oil-based product, so you don't want to put too much and make the hair greasy for nothing. You want to use it just as an accent product. I always like to finish my haircut with my fingers because I want it to look natural. I don't want my model to leave the salon or leave the stage with that hair salon look. I want it to look like almost like she did it herself. I don't like to overdo the hair. I think the beauty of it is when it looks natural. So this is the final result for this haircut today. I really hope you like it. I want to thank my model Amanda, who was very patient. And I'm sure that Edwin has a ton of questions for me, and I'll be able to answer them in the next segment. Thank you.
I really liked it. And not only does it look really beautiful, but this is the kind of haircut that a lot of clients can wear. And that's what we're trying to achieve on the website. Not the latest, trendiest, edgiest haircut that only one person can wear in your clientele, but a beautiful haircut that you can use on a lot of clients. That's my goal. So, like one question, the back, how you started to cut the back. Is the back a V or is the back like a U-shaped?
I tried to make it kind of between. I don't want it to be like obviously a point, but at the same time, I want it to be sharp enough so that you can really tell that it's really going to dive in the front.
Okay. And then another thing that you mentioned was every time you brought down a section, each section was about this much longer than the section you just finished cutting, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Okay. That's, so actually what's happening, not the top layer, but basically all this below here, each section is just a little bit longer than the other, so actually the underneath is like, it's almost an undercutting.
Exactly, yes.
And that's like an old technique that when I started doing hair, that was used a lot. I don't really see it used too much nowadays, but it's still a classic technique that will always last forever. But what I think was really cool is, see, the old way was to cut one section longer than the other, and then you blow it dry, and then you didn't see graduation. But now that you use the thinning scissors, you're creating a graduated look, which gives you that round shape, but you don't see all the stacking of layers because the top, each layer is longer. So that's what I think was really cool about doing this one length, but then going in with your thinning scissors. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's very important to do this because a lot of, if you don't do this, again, I said it, but it's very important, I want to repeat it again, but if you don't use this technique of having the underneath shorter and the surface longer, you'll create that broom effect, and that's, I mean, you see that, to me, it looks very tacky, very cheap. You want to make sure that, see how you see that really blunt line, it's very sharp, and you want to expose that as much as possible. If you don't use this technique, you won't have this effect, like the hair will just be very heavy and very thick here.
So yeah, so that's what I think is nice about this. It's got that graduated shape, but you don't see the graduation, it's hidden.
Exactly.
Then let's see, when you went in with the scissors, you use the solid blade to go into the hair, and then you slide down, and then the top with the teeth, then you start cutting, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you start up here, then you slide down, and you really don't start your cutting except for the last 2 to 3 inches,
yes.
Right? And I noticed that you didn't really thin out a lot, especially in the very beginning. You basically went 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yes, exactly. That's what I did.
So to some people that might, if they weren't really paying attention or they didn't catch it, it might look like, wow, that's thinning out a lot of hair, but you're really not, because you're only removing a little bit.
And again, I'm not closing my scissors completely, so it's just like taking a few bites of the weight, as I'm going. And obviously you have to be very consistent. If you're doing, like you said, 1, 2, 3 on one side, you want to make sure that you don't do like 4, 5, 6 on the other side. So you want to make sure that, if you bite 3 times on one side, you bite 3 times on the other side, because you want it to be even.
Yeah, that's like really important. Usually when you go to a restaurant and you eat something and you love it, and then you go back for the second time and the third time, if it's consistent each time, you always keep coming back because it's always good. If you've ever experienced a restaurant where it's good the first time, the second time wasn't as good, and the third time maybe wasn't as good, you might not go back again because you didn't experience what you liked the first time. And it's the same thing with cutting the hair. A lot of times the client will get a haircut that they really like the first time, so they come back to the second visit, and if the second visit was not as good as the first, and especially the third visit, now there's a chance that they're going to go somewhere else because you're not consistent. And the way to be consistent is to have a pattern. So if like you just said, on this side you go 1, 2, 3, and then on the opposite side you go 1, 2, 3, you're going to be pretty much consistent, even though this is a texturized, or a cut that has layers and texturizing, because that's where things get messed up. Hairdressers that texturize a lot, it's sometimes a creative art form, and one time you razor more on one side than the other, and it's really hard to duplicate it. But when you have a system, even though it's textured and stuff, you can pretty much duplicate it pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because she's your client and you've already thinned her hair out before, if this would have been the first time and it was one length, would you have maybe done more thinning?
Oh, absolutely. Every time Amanda comes to the salon to get her haircut, I always texturize her hair, because she has, her hair individually is fine, but she does have a big amount of hair. So always I make sure that I texturize, but again, I'm very sensitive, because you don't want to start cutting holes, or then also when you texturize the hair a little too much, then you start making the hair like really frizzy. And there's like chunks where it's shorter and longer than others, so you want to make sure that you're very sensitive. I think the best way to see if you did a good job is you shouldn't be seeing it. When the hair moves, it should just be natural. You shouldn't be able to tell, oh yeah, this hair was texturized or this hair was layered. It should just be natural and speak for itself.
Okay. Now, I noticed that you cut the whole perimeter, then you did your pointing, and then you did a little bit more with the thinning scissors. But you didn't really cut anything here, even though right now she is layered. So if this was all one length, like if she would have started with a one length cut, what would you have done here that we didn't see today? To create this look, because it looks nice with the little layering.
Yeah, I did, obviously at the beginning, the hair was much shorter here. I'm in the process of growing it because with this kind of hair, we changed this haircut because Amanda always had long hair. And we cut this length a few months back, but I want this to grow. I don't want the front part here to be too short. So what I did at the beginning, I did a little bit of gliding with the scissors just to create that, just to open up her face. But I like to have this corner, to me it's very important, like I was saying while doing the haircut, I want to make sure that, I mean, this part of the haircut is pretty much, it really sets the tone for the haircut. A lot of hairstylists have the tendency to go here and start layering. The minute you lose this corner here, see this sharp edge, you lose your entire haircut. You know, so you want to make sure that you keep this corner because that really gives that edge.
Okay. Okay, so now, because you didn't cut this today, and someone out there is watching, and they're going, well, I wonder how he would have cut it. Would you have done it with the thinning scissors or the regular scissors, this front part?
Actually, I would have used both. I'm very sensitive here at this part because there's not too much hair, obviously, because see how her hair grows far away from her forehead here. So you want to make sure that you don't texturize the hair too much when I did it. But at the beginning, I just used the gliding technique with my full scissors. I just glide the hair like this a little bit. I open this part where your fingers are, but see this corner, I didn't do it here. Okay,
so basically you just slide cut all the way down?
Yeah, sure, but I leave the bottom really straight.
Because I know you're growing it out, but it still looks good with the face framing there.
I'll always keep that little opening. It's just, to me, it's just to open up her eyes because she has beautiful eyes and beautiful face feature, and I just want to open it a little bit, like starting maybe from the point of her nose all the way down to the corner of her mouth and her jaw, but then I stop. I don't keep going because then you start rounding those corners.
So you can see this is, I like it, it's really nice.
I did it on purpose also with the color. I know that today we're not talking about color, but when I do highlight Amanda's hair, I always make sure that I stop really high because I want to keep the dark underneath, and sometimes actually we darken the underneath to create that contrast, to create that fullness. When I do the highlights, I never do full highlights. I always do what I call the surfer highlights, which means that it's only on the surface.
Okay, so if there's some questions that maybe I didn't ask and you wish you could have asked, just leave a comment below and Patrick will get back to you and leave a response to your question. So, and also let your coworkers know about Beauty Mastermind and tell your friends. Thanks, Patrick. It
was my pleasure.
All right. That was beautiful.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did
World class.
Thank you very much. I had a really good time, actually. Amanda is a client of mine. She's been a client of mine for years. And when Edwin was asking me about doing this kind of haircut, I thought about her right away because her hair is just beautiful and very actually perfect for this kind of style because she has a lot of hair and it's very easy to work with. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave some comments on the haircut. But also regarding the scissors, a lot of people were asking the kind of scissors that I was using. Those are the Mizutanis. The texturizing Mizutani is the Acro Yugari K4. And
that's Acro Yuragi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not Japanese. But and then the one that I used, the plain scissors that I use is the Acro Yuragi K series, right?
Yep.
You say it.
Yuragi.
There you go. That one.
You know, something that I want to bring up in the scissor. Okay, definitely if I had to pick one tool out of everything, it would be a scissor. You know, if I had to give up a razor, a thinning scissor, texturizer, the scissor would be the one tool that I would choose. But I'm not stuck in that situation. I'm able to use a scissor, a razor, a texturizer, thinning scissor, and I think if you expand your skills, you can create way more looks and effects with different tools.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know, like, some stylists say you can do everything with the scissor, or you kind of could, but a scissor cannot replicate a razor.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I agree.
A scissor cannot duplicate a thinning scissor. You can point and thin, but it's still not a thinning scissor.
So soon people won't like that comment.
No. But a lot of times people think a thinning scissor is, you know, it's maybe just to thin out. To me, a thinning scissor or a texturizing scissor is like a really important tool to me that I use a lot as my main scissor.
Yeah, I mean, to remove weight, which we featured a lot in that haircut. I had to remove a lot of weight in her hair. That Yuragi texturizing shear was a perfect tool for me. So I mean, you can probably do the same. You know, it would take you much more time to do it without this tool. So it's a great tool. I think the more tool, the more options, and it just made my job easy. So
yeah, and I like to mention, you know, like the Yuragi thinning scissor, they have about 5 different models. Some have wider teeth, some have closer teeth. The closer the teeth are, they're more of a blending scissor. The wider the teeth are, they remove a little bit chunkier pieces. So it depends on what you want. Do you want it for blending or for creating more texture?
Yeah, it depends on the final result that you want to achieve. Simple as that.
And so I love the effect that the thinning scissor that you did on your haircut, how it just blends that A-line. You created layers, but if someone was trying to check it to see how you did it, the hairdresser couldn't figure it out because the lines are all just blended together.
There's a lot of freehanding in it, so yeah.
So I recommend, if you want to just make your skill level, bring it up a notch or more, use more than a scissor. Use the razor or use the thinning scissor, the texturizing scissors, the regular scissors, and you will expand the looks of your haircuts. Okay, and you can find that in my store. Just click on store on the menu bar, click on products, and then you'll see scissors and thinning scissors. So if you click on thinning scissors, then you'll have another gigantic selection to choose from. And then, you know, even with my thinning scissors and my scissors, if you purchase any of these, I will give you a 1-year membership to my online haircutting seminars, which is a library of step-by-step haircuts. And one of them was the one that you just saw. That was one of the haircuts in the library. So that, I think, wraps it up.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you were able to learn a little bit. Again, if you have any comments, please leave us a comment and we'll be very happy to reply to you.
Oh wait, we can't forget social media.
Yeah, social media time.
Just click subscribe. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. Beauty Mastermind.
All right. So social media is really important to us. At the bottom of this page, leave a comment. If you have any questions, just leave us some questions. We're going to be answering them in other episodes. And if you're on Hairbrain, YouTube, Facebook, share these videos. You really would do us a big favor, and this is how we can come out with more free information for you if you help share these videos. And I think that wraps it up.
Yeah,
okay.
another episode.
So this is Edwin and Patrick signing off, and we'll see you in the next video, which we'll be getting in another 3 days, so keep your eyes out in your inbox. And that'll be a classic graduated bob.
Nice. Can't wait to see it.